Well, jury selection today in the trial of Jennifer Crumbley. That's the mother of the Oxford High School shooter.
She and her husband are facing separate trials, both accused of not doing enough to stop their son. Our own Charlie Langton, our legal analyst, joins us live with more details on what unfolded and what do they end up accomplishing today in court.
Well, some people would say not a lot, but a lot was accomplished, actually. 50 potential jurors were brought into the courtroom, 8 of them excluded. Interesting, 2 had a vacation, 1 had ties to Oxford, but 5 of them had beliefs about guns. They questioned how did the shooter actually get the gun and what kind of security measures were in place so that the shooter could get the gun. Now, the judge excluded those people because those people had too much knowledge. Where did they get the knowledge? Probably from the media. Now, the bottom line here is that no jurors were selected today. And we thought this would be about a 2 to 3 day process. It actually should go faster tomorrow. And then if they cannot get 12 jurors and 5 alternates, then it'll just keep on going the next day. If they need more than 50 jurors, they'll bring more in. So that's what happened in court today.
This is going to have to be a challenge, I'm sure, because this was perhaps the most publicized case we've had in our state, maybe ever. So to find someone who doesn't have any knowledge about this case, that's going to be quite the issue.
And so the issue for the judge is it's not that you don't have knowledge of the case, but can you throw away that knowledge and only look and decide the case on what is presented in court? Now, the reality is sometimes you can't put the toothpaste back in the toothbrush. You know what I mean? It's hard to do that. So if you heard something, it's hard to get that out of your mind, but it's up to the judge and the lawyers to figure it out. But think about this. If you have 12 jurors that have almost no ties to Oxford, no knowledge of the case, who does that help? Prosecution, or does it help the defense? It may actually help, maybe some people may argue, the defense, because Oxford, this was such a horrendous case.
Well, when you talk about who goes first here, obviously there was talk about who would go first amongst these parents. You have Jennifer Crumbley going first. Does that bode well for James Crumbley?
Not sure yet. I'm not sure. I want to see a little more of the testimony. They probably should have separate trials because they have some perhaps different interests. But the other thing that was interesting today is early this morning, there was a motion filed in court, a request to have the shooter testify. And here's the deal. The prosecutor wants to get in some text messages that basically say the shooter had some issues with the parents. I complained to the parents, they never helped me. But then the psychiatrist that apparently, or the psychologist that evaluated the shooter in the jail, the prosecutor wants those people to testify because the shooter apparently changed the story. But here's the kicker here. There's a medical privilege, meaning, I don't want to get too deep here, but the shooter is the only person that can waive the medical privilege. Otherwise, what you say to a psychologist or a counselor or a doctor is privileged. And unless the shooter waives it, and the shooter said through his attorneys, he is not going to waive any privileges, and he's going to take the 5th if he is compelled to testify. Therefore, all these text messages will get in, perhaps, by the prosecutor that say that the shooter was reaching out and the parents did nothing.
Wow.
Highly prejudicial to the parents. Let's see how the judge rules.
But 2 different trials, you could have 2 different outcomes, 2 different verdicts. And
yes, you could.
You know, maybe it depends on your legal team, maybe it depends on the jury. You never know.
It absolutely does. You could have 1 guilty, 1 not guilty, both not guilty, both guilty.
Right.
Anything is possible.
It all starts with seating a jury, something that in earnest began today and should continue through the week. We know you'll be on it every step of the way.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.